This video was recorded live before a canned studio audience. It's Friday Night Movie Reviews, and here they are, Chris and Keith.
Hi, I'm Keith.
I'm Chris.
And this is Friday Night Movie Reviews. Thank you for joining us tonight. We love it whenever you come to see us because we love seeing you as well. We went and saw a movie. We didn't actually see this one together, but we did see it together. Kind of. And the name of this movie is?
As you just said, it's Together.
Together.
It is the Neon-produced movie called. It's a body horror. It falls into that category. It's definitely a artistic movie to say the least.
Right.
It is rated R, so we'll go ahead and give you the disclaimer right up front.
Yeah, rated R film. It's been in the theater for how long now?
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yep.
So if you are planning on seeing this movie after you watch our review, then you may need to go and see it very quickly because it will not be in a theater for very long, especially if you have a small.
You know, if you've got 10 screens or under at your theater, you're gonna have to go into the city to see this one,
right?
Because most movie theaters are unkind to horror movies in general, even by the bigger studios. But the fact that this one's an indie movie on top of that one, where they know they're not going to get much money out of it,
right?
So it's going to make it harder to see this one, and that's primarily the reason that we wanted to make sure that we did this review, because the fact that it's not going to be in theaters long, and we really want people to see this one. So.
Right. Okay, so let's get into it and let's talk about the basic premise of the movie. We're not going to spoil anything, but we really can't say too much about it, because if we say too much about the movie, then we'll give away some really major plot points, and that's not a good thing, and we don't want to spoil anything if you do plan on going to see it. The only thing we can do is give you a clouded review about as much as the clouded trailers that you saw.
Yep, and they had 2 trailers for this movie. The teaser was very short, just basically told you who was in it. The next one gave you kind of the thing to pull you in, kind of thing with the saw in the trailer. So you kind of already know what you're getting into, because this is body horror. This falls into the same category as like The Fly with Jeff Goldblum from the 80s.
Right. Or
Society from the 90s.
Right.
That one's a sleeper one. I told my girlfriend about it. She's like, Society? I've never even heard of that one. I said, I know. That one is a deep cut.
Right.
And then, of course, the more recent ones would be like Tusk or The Human Centipede.
Which we will not review.
Yeah, we're not reviewing either one of those. I refuse. I've seen both, and I have thoughts on them, but people
will not review
them, and people have reviewed those movies to death anyways, and there's nothing really I can really add to it that's not already been said. And I mean, how much can you really say much more about The Human Centipede,
right?
Than that. But I can rest assured this one, it is body horror, but it's not The Human Centipede.
Right.
I'll say that much.
Right. So the basic premise of the movie is you have this couple, and they're not married at the beginning of the movie. I'm not giving anything away. They're not married at the beginning of the movie. They are, but they do end up getting married, and they begin having problems as a couple. They move and they end up having some problems, and it's just it kind of goes downhill from there. But then something happens, and we're not going to tell you what, but things begin getting very strange, to say the least.
Yeah, he's like drawn to her like a magnet, and you can see that in the trailer.
Yeah.
And then clearly, as the title cleverly suggests, it's like their bodies start sticking together.
And we're not really giving anything away, because if you've seen the poster, then you've seen that as well.
Yeah, so
of
course, the movie doesn't really reveal necessarily, is it just a psychological thing?
Right.
Is it supernatural?
Right.
And that's the part of the thing that we want to make sure that we're not letting you guys know, the audience, because we want you to see it.
Right.
So we're not spoiling that.
Right. It's but like he said, this is body horror, so, and it is a horror movie. It does have some foul language in it, and it does have some adult situations in it. And this is definite, and it is rated R, as you said.
Oh, absolutely, it is.
So this is not. Would you take a kid to see this?
No.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Would you take a teenager to see this?
No.
No, not. No.
Yeah,
So
and plus, this movie, because it is more of an artistic horror movie too, I think most teenagers would not even want to.
probably not.
And they don't really have the relationship
Right.
experience really to really get the full aspect, the full effect of this movie. Because
Right.
part of the reason that this movie is effective, especially if you have been in relationships, you are in a relationship, and you love your partner and everything else. That's the reason why this movie has so much of an impact. And it is a
Right.
couples movie. This movie really is intended to be seen with your spouse, your significant other, your partner, whatever you want to call it.
To see together.
Yep. And but and it's interesting because the main two stars of the movie, Dave Franco and Alison Brie, they're married in real life, and they've been married for a long time.
Right.
And he's the younger brother of James Franco, the actor, and both of these two come from comedy backgrounds, and suddenly now they're doing horror.
Right. Which I thought when you brought that up to me, I thought that was very curious
Yeah.
that they would be doing comedy, and now all of a sudden they're in a horror movie together, and it just
Yeah. It just seemed.
when you told me that after I saw the movie, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
They can act.
Yeah,
And-
they
and-
can act, and they actually they're married in real life, so there really was some chemistry there.
Yeah, because I remember that's what you said to me. You go, well, that explains why the chemistry was so good in the film.
Right.
I said, yeah. I
Right.
said, they probably pulled from their real marriage of,
Right.
their struggles and everything else.
Exactly.
And it shows in the movie.
Exactly.
Because, I had seen him. He was in the Jump Street movies, the comedies, he was funny in those. I liked him. He definitely has his brother's comedic chops and everything. And I've seen her and stuff. She was on a show called Community. She's on a show called Glow on Netflix right now. So if you're into that kind of thing, I know my girlfriend really liked that show. So she was like, that's where she knew Alison Brie from.
And speaking of Jump Street, this movie does have some jump scares in it.
It does.
It has a few jump scares, but the thing is, I didn't feel like they were cheap.
No, it wasn't the old classic where a cat jumps into frame and
Right.
scares everybody. Yeah, it wasn't the cliche jump scares. These were like jump scares that actually fit the situation.
Right.
And you would jump if that happened to you, kind of thing. Like
Exactly.
it wasn't cheap, and
Right.
it really fit the scenes that happened then, and it really did. It was a very atmospheric movie as far as like the camera work was so well done. It was so well acted. Like you got really engulfed into the movie when you were watching it.
Yeah,
And you're
you
like,
did.
I'm like, oh yeah, I could see that. I could see myself in that situation. I could see myself in that character.
Right.
And
right.
I'm like, oh yeah, that's So even seeing it alone, not with my girlfriend, I'm sitting there thinking, oh yeah, I can totally see that as a scenario there.
Yeah, I went and saw it with my wife, and there were some scenes in it where she was like burying her face in my shoulder because it was just it was getting a little too intense for her.
Yeah.
So there are some really intense scenes in this. So if you're a little squeamish when it comes to body horror or when it comes to intensity of scenes, you might want to take a jacket to hide your face in, or if you're going to see it together, then you might want to bury your face in your other's shoulder or something to that effect.
Yeah, that's totally how that needs to go.
Right.
And like I said, they really did intend this movie for couples to see
Right.
it.
Right.
And-
Not for two friends to go see, because if you bury your face in your friend's shoulder, that could
That'd be a little awkward. Yeah,
that could get
sorry.
awkward. That could get very, very awkward. Yeah. So, listen. What did you that's really all that we can talk about as far as the basic premise goes. Is that they start having problems and some weird things begin happening, and they end up figuring out what it was that is going on between them.
Mm-hmm.
And like he brought out, you kind of don't know if it's psychological or if it's actually something spiritual or something physical or whatever. You don't really know what's going on until right there in like the last maybe 15 minutes of the movie. Okay, now the thing is, you can figure it out. But it doesn't really reveal it until like the last 15 minutes
Especially
of the movie.
those last little nuggets until you finally have like all the pieces in play.
Right.
You know, you generally are already pretty much having in your head, okay, well, yeah, that's why this is going on.
Right.
So I will say that. But as far as like my general thoughts of the movie, I really liked it. I thought it was, like I said, it was artistic. It was well shot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who the cinematographer was on this film, but whoever they were, they need a raise because one of the main problems I have with like modern cinema is why do they color saturate this stuff so much? And you're sitting there like squinting. I'm like, I know I have good vision, but it's so darn dark. And especially they'll put the stuff like on Netflix. And I'm sitting there looking at my phone. I'm like, I can't see nothing.
Right.
You know? And, Game of Thrones was real guilty of that towards the end of its run.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, so many things have started doing that. And I'm like, what happened to the days of old with all our great cinematography going on?
Yeah, where you could actually see what was happening in the action.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I'm glad that a lot of cameramen have gotten away from is they're staying away from the booze.
Yeah.
And if you guys know what I'm talking about, or if you're wondering, what's he talking about? The ones where it looks like the cameraman had too much partying going on the night before, and he can't hold the camera straight.
Yeah, the amateur. Some people.
I can't stand that.
Yeah, I don't like this. I don't like shaky camera work either. I like a nice steady cam. You know.
I don't want to have to take diazepam before I go and watch a movie.
Like, there's certain movies where it's okay for that, like Cloverfield, like found footage type movies.
Yeah, things like that.
Because it's not meant to be seen as a movie. It's like we're watching somebody holding.
Or like the beginning scene of Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
I can understand that. But if it's like two people talking like me and you, there's no reason why the cameraman has to be jumping like a grasshopper.
They invented a steady cam for a reason.
Exactly.
And
they have tripods.
I'm like, go back to that.
Exactly. Go back to that and quit with all of this. And I'm glad they got away from that. But keep them going off on a tangent with that. But this movie was, as you said, very well done, very well shot.
Yeah, the acting was fantastic. You feel like they're a couple, beyond them just being an actual couple in real life. Like they acted really well together.
Yeah,
I really feel like they were a couple going through something that that they weren't taking care of.
They weren't really talking about.
Yeah. It shows again like what real couples go through, the lack of communication, that kind of thing. Like you felt it, and I'm like, okay, this really relates to a lot of people in a lot of scenarios that have been in relationships. So it was nice to see that on film.
Right.
And they did it so well, and I'm just like, wow. And I had to remind myself, these are comedians. These are not known for serious roles. And,
I would kind of like label this movie. You said that it was body horror. I would kind of label this movie as like maybe a horror love story.
It really is in a lot of ways.
Kind of a horror love story. I mean, it's just kind of hard to put a label on. I mean, you got like rom-coms. I would probably call this a rom-horror.
Yeah, there you go. You finally got to use that in one of our things. Now, watch out in the new Scream movie. They'll use that terminology. They're going to steal it right from us.
Rom horror, yeah. They'll steal rom horror from us. But yeah, it's I personally thought it was a very well done movie as well. The music fit, and I mean, even like the background, soundtracks that they would have going on that weren't like the movie soundtrack. It was like the rock soundtracks and stuff like that. Even that fit. It was just the lighting in certain areas was excellent.
Yeah,
and just added to the whole overall feel and ambiance of the movie. I mean, it was very well done, very well shot, very well acted by everybody, not just the couple, but everybody that was involved and had a part in the movie. They really did a really good job.
Yeah, even your supporting cast.
Yeah.
I liked everybody, like their next door neighbor. He was great. Like, it was just there was so much there as far as like caring. Like, okay, well, they took great care and it is a small cast, but they did a great job as far as everybody that was in it.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know who directed this, but they did such a great job with this movie. So
A lot of mysterious kind of things in this movie that just really the puzzle pieces just begin fitting together right there towards the end.
and it's an attention to detail movie too.
Right,
Because
right.
there's going to be things that you really are going to start to notice towards the end of the film, so pay attention.
Now, the only criticism that I have about this movie, is, like I was telling you before, I would have cut out the first scene.
Yeah.
The very first scene, I would have cut that out or placed it somewhere else in the movie.
Well, he was.
I understand what they were trying to do,
Yeah.
but I think it gave too much away.
It kind of did. But I will say that it does have like a nightmare scene, and I've had a nightmare similar to what the main character had.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was I like how they shot it and how it was, because it was creepy.
Mm-hmm.
And because I'm like, ooh, I've had that dream before. Ooh, that's a little
Yeah.
too real. But I know what you're talking about. They could have trimmed that down or moved it or something else. Like, you almost want to restructure the movie just a little bit.
Just a little, but not too much. I wouldn't have tweaked it too much.
Yeah.
Like I said, the only real complaint that I have about the movie is I would cut out that first scene.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the only real complaint.
And if that's the only complaint, especially for a horror movie, that is like,
yeah, that's saying something.
Because usually we can kind of nitpick these things,
exactly,
like,
and rewrite the entire film.
Yeah. So kudos to a small studio, and it's nice to have like smaller movies again,
right?
Because it seems like if you look at our channel, it's mostly blockbuster, and every now and then we'll see like a sci-fi one together that'll be like a smaller, like Slingshot, or shameless plug,
or something that was a smaller kind of thing, like Lost Boys. Yep. Lost Boys really didn't do all that well until it became a cult classic.
Yeah.
So the things like that, and that's one of the things that you and I talked about. We can really see this movie becoming a cult classic after it gets out of theaters and when it hits maybe Blu-ray or streaming service. We can really see it becoming a like hitting with a certain niche of people and actually becoming a cult classic.
Yeah, and it's one of those ones too you have to rewatch again, and that's the reason why whatever rating we give it today, know that is subject to change, because you change as you get older, you experience more things, and you
sit and think about it, and you're like, you know what? Maybe it wasn't that good, or
maybe it was better than.
Or maybe you come out of the theater and you're like, I don't know. But then when you sit and think about it, you're like, man, yeah. It starts to hit. So yeah, the rating could change. So how many sodas would you give this?
This is one I definitely will rewatch. But I don't want to give it like too high of a score, so I'm saying probably 7.5.
7 or 7.5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I would give this probably about an 8 or 8.5 popcorns, because I enjoyed the fact that it was something different.
Agreed.
It was something different. Finally. Thank you, Hollywood, for giving us something different. Not a remake, not a reboot, not a, hey, this is a continuation in a series of 75 movies. Thank you for giving us something different that wasn't crap. That was not crap. So I give it an 8.5 on the scale, 8.5 popcorns. Now, I went and saw this with my wife. Honey, what would you, how many bowls of rice would you give this? The movie together? 8. She would give it 8 bowls of rice. So just kind of look at the difference. I went and saw it with my wife. We give it an 8 to an 8.5. And He went and saw it alone. Now, had he seen it with someone else, if he had seen it with his girlfriend, he may would have given it a higher rating. So that just kind of gives you an idea that you might, I mean, you can go see this movie alone. Don't get me wrong. You can see this movie by yourself and it can still be a great film, but it's going to be something probably even better and on another level if you go see it with someone else together.
Very nicely done.
Very, very nice. Very nice. So, you know what? There is our cue to go.
Agreed. All right, remember to like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell notification for when our next video drops. Leave us a comment. And what did you think of this movie? Do you have plans to see it? We'd love to hear from you. And as always, a shout out to our local Regal Cinemas. Thank you guys. We love you. Keep watching our content.
Awesome.
We had to give you guys the shout out this time.
Yes, thank you.
And as always, to our other fans out there, our other subscribers and new watchers, thank you for watching.
And let me say this, if you are a fan, if you are a subscriber, if you do watch regularly, pass the word along to your friends. Let them know, hey, you know, I know these cheesy group of guys who review movies, and they may not have the best opinions, but at least they're going to tell me whether or not the movie is worth my cash or if it's trash. This one is definitely worth your cash. So go ahead, get somebody and get your significant other, and you guys go and see this together. And when you're watching this movie with your popcorn and your soda, remember, enjoy your movie.